Welcome to We Wine Whenever. Grab your glass and join three Jersey Shore housewives, Wendy, Kelly, and Lori, as they dive into everything from Bravo drama to life's everyday chaos. It's unfiltered, it's hilarious, and it's the real talk you've been waiting for, from relationship to pop culture. We drink wine whenever, and we hope you do too. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a 5-star review. Cheers! Hi, welcome to We Wine Whenever. I'm Wendy, and today we have Cousin Gina filling in for Kelly. Hi,
Hello,
Cousin
all.
Gina.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to be talking about the Valley Reunion Part 2. Jax.
I'm going to miss him.
Well, listen, we start out finding out that Jax has been sober for 156 days as of the date of filming. Listen, I get that he's sober, but his behavior really has not changed a lot. It hasn't.
He says he's sober, but I have a feeling he's either California sober and or on prescription medications to deal with his anger issues.
Yeah, and I think that that's really something kind of to just touch on. I believe you're right about definitely the California sober. I mean, he doesn't believe that weed is a drug. I will disagree with that, especially when you're on psychiatric medication. You should not be mixing marijuana with prescription drugs, unless the doctor is saying that's what you should be doing.
I mean, personally, I feel marijuana, I don't view it as a drug, but I think that if you're trying to become sober, part of that sobriety journey is not relying on anything, which also should include marijuana.
Yeah, no, I agree too. And again, specifically with marijuana, it affects everybody differently. And, for some people it has a very negative effect. And again, if you're taking prescription medication and you're under the care of a doctor, I think the doctor needs to be aware that, marijuana is still going to be a part of your life and, medicate you appropriately. He says that he's going to he's got a sobriety coach and he's got a life coach, and he says he's going to go to AA. He doesn't want to do it, but he's going to do it.
AA is not for everyone. It's a faith-based system, and not everybody is faith-based. So maybe there's another program that would work for him that could incorporate 12 steps and, whatever. But AA is not for everyone. But it doesn't mean you don't do anything.
Right. Exactly.
He needs to be in an inpatient program. I understand why he didn't, because he wanted to film. But no.
Yeah.
And this whole resigning thing, I
No,
don't
he
buy it.
definitely didn't. He did not resign. He was not asked back. We all know that that was just for him to save face. Jax admits that he starts fights because some days he thinks that they should be together and other days he thinks that they should be apart. And listen, I feel bad for Brittany. I know a lot of people don't. People say that she knew what she was marrying. I think that Brittany really loves him. You can see it in her face when she's crying. It's hard for her to file for divorce from someone she actually loves. She was holding out hope that he would get better for her and for Cruz, and it just didn't happen. It didn't happen.
Now, I'm not sure, Brittany and I are from two different generations, but a lot of women from my generation, we wanted those bad boys, but we wanted to tame the bad boys. We didn't want the bad boy to stay the bad boy. And this wasn't always workable. And to me, it looks like that's what Brittany was trying to do. She loved the bad boy. She loved Jack. Whether she hunted him down or not, I will never know, as far as the fame of being on the TV show. But I think she knew before she got married that she wasn't going to be able to tame him, and she should have left at that point. She never should have married him.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's hard for us to, again, it's hard to put ourselves in her shoes, right? We don't know what went on behind closed doors. We only know what we saw. And what I do see, though, is when she's sitting on that couch, I see real hurt and real pain. And I see that she still loves him. And she freely admitted it. I mean, Jax couldn't even admit it. He couldn't even say those words when the question was asked.
And she's finally strong enough not to go back.
Yes.
She finally is doing the right thing and moving forward.
Yeah.
She is, you know what? When you love somebody, you can never not love them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And she has a child with him.
Right. The other thing that happened, this is where it just gets me going, is Jason feels the need to jump in at this point and say, "Listen, if Jax has been using cocaine for 27 years, it's going to take him some time." Jason, nobody asked for your 2 cents. Those 2 cents we did not need. I don't know why Jason feels the need to jump in and stand up for Jax in this situation. It wasn't his place. But what I have read online, and I don't know if it's true or not, is people seem to think that Janet and Jason have something over Jax and Brittany. I don't know what, but
They're just looking for a storyline.
I don't know.
I mean, let's go back to what's her name? Oh my gosh, what's Jason's wife's name?
Janet.
Janet. Janet hunting out members of the cast so that she could get in with them. I buy that.
Janet's definitely. Oh, I
I
do
believe
too.
that.
Janet definitely did that. Brittany says that, a therapist even said to him, like, we can treat depression, we can treat bipolar disorder, but we can't treat narcissism. So, it's him. He's got to figure this out. And like you said, I think honestly, I think unless he gets intensive inpatient treatment and then after that released to maybe an IOP where he does, 5 days a week and really works on himself, will he ever get better? Because,
I think
this.
what we have to do is let's look at all of them. It's all about the show. Okay.
Right.
It's all about getting that contract for next year because look at them. Other than Jason, do any of them really have jobs? I mean, Jason's an attorney, but where do the rest of them work? I mean, Danny is a voiceover actor, and the other ones say they do real estate. I never see them filming them showing a house,
No, we don't see them doing. I mean, we know that Kristen has her clothing line.
which I'm surprised that was still around. I was shocked when I saw that.
I was shocked too, but I'll be honest, I thought this stuff was cute,
She
you
always
know?
had nice shirts. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was cute. Her Luke, soon to be fiance, owns all this property.
Is that what he does?
Well, he owns a lot of land, yeah. Colorado, I believe it's he owns a lot of land in Colorado because remember when they first met, like they were going back and forth. And Kristen has said recently that I actually heard her do a podcast with Lindsay from Summer House, and Kristen doesn't want to raise this baby in LA. She's in LA now, but the baby's still a baby. When the baby gets a little bit older, she does not want to raise the baby in LA. She wants to go to a suburb.
Well, that's so easy to do in California. It's not like New York City where you move out of New York, you got to cross a bridge to get there. You don't have to do that in Los Angeles. But then again, you have a lot of traffic, you don't have mass transportation.
Yeah, I mean,
So you go to Santa Clarita.
I got the impression from her though, I think really what she wants to do is maybe go to another state. I don't think this for her. I think that listen, this is what I see with Kristen. And I've been watching Kristen since Vanderpump. I've been watching her from the very beginning. I think that she has grown up on reality TV. We've seen all sides of her. We've seen crazy Kristen. We've seen the Kristen that we see there today. I think is the best version of herself, and I think that she's doing the right thing.
I'm not done seeing Kristen on the Valley, though.
No, I'm not either. I'm not either. And we have more time. The baby's just a baby. I mean, I think we
Yeah.
have a couple more years. And then, who knows what it evolves into, right?
And I know we've spoken on the outside about this, but I mean, they're all ripe for a mother baby show. You've got Lala, Sheena, Kristen, Janet, Nia. Why do I can never remember her name. I just want to say Danny's wife. But they all have babies the same age. I think that
They
would be a
do.
wonderful show. And I heard Lindsay Hubbard's getting her own show.
I don't know. I mean, Lindsay, she's back on Summer House. She did a
No, it
very
was
extensive.
announced today that she's getting her own show.
Good for her.
I saw her being interviewed about it.
Oh, that's good to hear. Did they say what it was just going to be her or?
You know what? It was 1 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't want to
Okay.
text it to you because I don't like waking you up in the middle of the night. You thinking it's one of your kids. So sometimes I send them to myself, and then I forget to look at it in the morning. I'll have to look and see if I can
All
find.
right. We'll have to see what that's about. But listen, I love Lindsay. I think that she's another one that we've seen her on on
Mhm.
TV for 10 years, and she's evolved. We've seen her in good relationships, we've seen her in bad relationships. Actually, I don't think we've actually ever seen her in a good relationship, but we've seen her in a lot of relationships,
And
right?
last year on Summer House, I kept saying, "These guys are too old for this."
Yeah. Oh,
There's a
yeah.
point when you stop doing a share,
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with that.
you know?
Um, Jack says he started doing cocaine in 2001. Asks, Kristen, like, "You were around when that started, you were around him at Vanderpump, like, did you know that it was happening?" And he admits that he would go in the bathroom and do blow, and he was
It's all
really
about
good
the
at hiding it.
pasta.
Yeah, and that's when Brittany said that she would go out to dinner with him, and he would just leave the table, and she'd be sitting there by herself, and I'm like, "That's horrible, like, that's just horrible." We talk about again about how he was already diagnosed as bipolar, he was prescribed medication, he refused to take it. Anger is a big issue of his, but, she touched on something with the steroids. I definitely think that, that's a problem too. You know,
Huge.
those cause rage. Everybody knows that steroids cause rage.
Now, there was chat, and I know we read about it online about a video that somehow got deleted that showed him flipping out on the front porch. Sounded like a Ring doorbell video. Did you remember this?
Yeah, I think that's what she refers to as the rose bush when he pushed her into the rose bush outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that's going to come up next week.
Well, I think they kind of mentioned it when she said that, when she named everything that he did.
Yeah.
You threw the table at me, you threw the stools, you broke my phone, you threw my laptop, you broke my Stanley Cup, you pushed me, and he said yes to all of them. Then when she got to the rose bush, she said no. She goes, "Oh yes, there's video, and everyone up here has seen it." And then he shut up.
Yeah.
That's the video I believe that they were referring
Yeah, I
to.
think I need to hear more about that video next week.
Yeah. I honestly, I'm over the whole I want Janet and Jason to be accountable next week. That's what I want to see. Because I
That's
feel
2
like
minutes. That's 2 minutes. I can't stand Janet.
I can't stand her either. I can't stand her either.
I
But I
love
want
Jason.
no, I don't like him because he's too much of a yes man to Janet. He tries to,
It's called being a good husband.
yeah, it is called being a good husband, but I still don't like him. Brittany says to Jax that you blame me for going to rehab, um, and losing your job. And he agrees. He does. He said, I got to blame somebody. And he says it's the first time in all the years that he's known Jax that he really thinks that he's finally taking some accountability. I mean, he says he takes accountability, like Brittany said, but then, 2 days later, he's going to be doing the same thing. So, like, really, what is that? That means nothing. Like, accountability is really owning it and then changing it. It's not just saying, yeah, I did it and continuing to do it. Right.
I don't see any accountability.
Yeah. You don't see it at all. Well, he does admit to doing this stuff. I mean, that's, I
Yeah,
guess,
but
what he's calling it. Right.
that's just admitting to being an asshole.
Yeah.
Let's change the behavior.
Absolutely.
And that I
Absolutely.
don't see.
No, not at all.
And he
Not at all.
needs a good 30 to 90 days of inpatient substance abuse, anger management,
Yes.
And he has no way to earn money now, so that's not an excuse.
Right. Right.
And, shutting down the bar so he doesn't have to pay Brittany any money, that's messed up.
No, that's not what
Oh,
happened.
that's what he said.
Well,
Maybe
no,
not on the show, but sorry. I
that's
heard him
okay.
say that before.
No, he said that his public statement was he's focusing on his mental health. And again, I think the bar cut ties with him because they don't want his name out there anymore. His name is not showing things in a good light. So they don't want to be associated with him. That's why the name came off there. And it's not like it was a whole bar. It was just a small section. It was like the patio of an
Yeah, he
existing
didn't own it.
restaurant. No, it was just his name. So the bar said, you know what? We don't want this name. This name is not associated with anything good anymore. So we're going to take it down. And he made the statement that he's doing it for his mental. It had nothing to do with her. He has no money. He's already admitted it. She makes more money than he does.
But he's going to go after her for support.
Yeah, he absolutely is. And the sad thing is she's going to have to pay it because that's how the California law works.
And she is already paying off his debt because her mortgage payment doubled because they incorporated all of his prior debt into their mortgage payment,
Yeah, his tax liens, his
which
tax
is one
debt.
of the stupidest things to do financially. They did not have a good accountant advising them on that.
I don't think they had anyone advising them on
You
that.
don't want to take any kind of a debt and at that high interest rate over 30 years. No, no, bad move.
Um, then Andy asks Brittany about Cruz, like, let's talk about Cruz and his autism diagnosis. And she gives a breakdown. In the beginning, he was meeting all of his milestones. He actually started talking for a while. He was saying words. And then just before he turned 2, just stopped and became nonverbal and started like pointing to things. And then Brittany noticed that he was, stimming. And, we saw that last season on the Valley. We saw that she was already trying to get him help. But we find out that when he was actually in therapy is when she was able to finish up everything and get all the testing done and the visits with the doctors to get the actual diagnosis. And again, if her mother wasn't there, she would have been doing that by herself. Not that Jax would have been helping her, but you know what? I give her credit. I think that what she did was the right thing. I think that bringing it out and letting people know, like she said, if I can help one person, it's so important to get that early intervention
It
with
was the
autism.
same with Jacqueline Larita's child. He
Yes.
was he was achieving all of his, goals as he should, and then all of a
Mhm.
sudden he started regressing.
Yeah.
Probably around the same age too.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
But it's good that they show that and help educate young ladies who are having children.
Yeah. Because, you don't, first of all, you don't know what it is. You don't want to assume the worst. You don't know what to do. But if to have, somebody like Brittany out there putting it out there saying, this is what I saw and this is what we did, it's definitely going to help somebody. Kristen, this is funny. So, in the midst of everyone talking, Kristen's like, I have to get up and I have to go to the bathroom, which I thought he was going to stop it, but he didn't. He just kept on going.
No.
I really
Look
thought he was
how
going to stop
pregnant
it.
she is.
I know.
They're all pregnant. He
Right.
said that's why they filmed that reunion so early.
Right.
That reunion was filmed like 3 months ago because there 2 or 3 of them were ready to have children.
The two of them. Yeah. The two of
Yeah.
them were, yeah. So Andy, then he moves on to Jesse and Michelle. And Andy asks, Jesse, did you have any proof that Michelle cheated on you when you were married? And he said, well, we sat down with one of our really close friends, and her number one thing was she did not cheat on you with Aaron. And I don't want you talking about it on camera. So this is where I find out, like, this is where it like clicked for me because we all knew that she already said that she had kissed somebody. Like that was last season. Like, why all of a sudden to
He
become this big thing?
deserved to be cheated on. He didn't touch her from the day she had that baby. She was begging for love, she was begging for affection, and he didn't give it to her. So if she went out and got a little hey nanny nanny on the side, God bless her. He
Yeah, I
deserved to
agree.
be cheated on.
I agree. I totally agree. And again, she's admitted to it. He
Yes.
was he was holding it to keep throwing it in her face to make her look like a slut, a
And
whore.
she's not.
She's not.
She's
These
a
are
young
words.
woman with feelings.
Yep. Yep. And he kept putting that out there to make her look like and I agree with her when she said, he can cry on demand and he does look sympathetic. When you see a man cry, you're like, oh gosh. But with him, it's absolutely performative.
Mhm.
And she isn't that kind of person. That's not how she feels things. Not everyone's a crier, right? Not everyone has to
Yeah.
cry. Doesn't mean she doesn't feel it just as deeply as somebody who is crying. Michelle says you knew about this since before we started filming. He says that he's never cheated on anyone with anyone, and I don't
Uh-uh.
believe that. I don't believe that for a second. I don't.
Know
Because
why, but just his age, his lifestyle, where he lives. He used to date Anna Nicole,
yeah.
he lived in that whole lifestyle.
I mean, even when he said, the only thing that really upsets me is when somebody cheats. And Michelle's like, well, that's funny because as soon as I told you I wanted a divorce, you were sleeping with a married woman. So, like, give me a break.
And having your daughter call her mom.
Yeah. That whole thing is, and then to find out that Aaron and Michelle broke up, I feel bad for Isabella. This poor little girl, you know?
Yeah, and you know what? And I agree with people that say, I don't introduce my children to anybody. It's got to be years down the road until I know that's a forever thing because that's got to be very traumatizing for a young child.
I would think so too.
You
And
know?
I'm sure I would hope that if, Michelle's back next season, we see a different Michelle and one that's, not going to be doing that,
And
is
dating
not.
somebody hot.
Yes.
Like bring her in with Jason Momoa or somebody.
Well, somebody mature. I'd like her to see, with somebody mature and,
I want to
you
see
know,
her with somebody big like Jason Momoa. So, you know,
because Jesse's so little.
yeah.
So then is that when Kristen walks back in? Yeah. So then Kristen walks back in the middle of all this and he's like, Kristen, you said Michelle had a boyfriend. Like, were you referring to Aaron? She goes, no, it wasn't Aaron. It was somebody. She didn't say
Baywatch
who it
guy,
was.
right?
No, 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 no. She didn't say who it was. And it wasn't, she said she was seeing someone. They weren't calling this person a boyfriend. It wasn't Aaron. She was just seeing someone. It could have just been someone that she kissed. It could have been just a one-off thing. But I thought it was so funny how that transition happened. Kristen walks back in, she sits down, and Andy's like, Kristen, and she's like, okay. Michelle said it was someone who finally gave me attention. She said, I'm sorry, a lot happened during my marriage, but I never had a boyfriend.
It's same thing that Brittany was saying. That's why she slept with that friend of theirs
Right,
because he made her feel beautiful.
right.
He made her feel wanted.
Yes, exactly. So then in between breaks, I don't know if you noticed this, but like Jesse and Janet are like next to each other and they're like talking. They have like this little banter and Jesse's talking about his pants and you know, he says they're polyester. Janet's like, "Oh, they look kind of cheap." He's like, "No, well they're an expensive polyester."
Expensive polyester.
Polyester, I know.
They were ugly pants.
Yeah. I mean, they were typical of him. They had to
Yeah.
be, they were Jessie pants. Michelle during the break is asking if she seems angry, and Nia's like, "No, he's gaslighting you. Like, you're not angry." And it's true. That's exactly what was happening. Michelle says, "I will still never understand that word." So she doesn't even understand that she's being gaslit. Like, which is kind of sad. I really do. I do like Michelle. I think that
Her a lot.
yeah, I think that she needs a good friend like Nia and Kristen to kind of build her up and, you know, let her find somebody who's gonna really be good for her, right?
Or just date. You don't have to have a boyfriend.
Definitely. Agreed. Agreed. Then Andy asks Luke about the Jesse. Jesse told you about a time when him and Michelle were still married, and Michelle went over to Aaron's and he was there with another girl. Remember when he asked if maybe that was that girl, Jenna? And Luke said, "Listen, before I say anything else, I want to apologize." And I was glad that he did that. I was, because when Luke first came on, I really was not liking Luke. I didn't like his interactions with the group.
He was always struggling for a storyline, struggling to be included.
Well, I just felt like he was very awkward, right? I mean, he's not from this world. Like I said, he's from Colorado and he owns a lot of land. He wound up in this world because of Kristen.
And look at him. He doesn't have the look.
Right,
He's not the polished WeHo.
right, right. No, I mean,
While these gentlemen on this show are cis, not gay, they are living in WeHo where there are a lot of gay men. And that means the bar is up here to look good. You got to
yeah,
look good. You've got to dress well. And all those guys on the show, other than Luke, are like that. So Luke kind of came in and he's this mountain man.
right. Yeah, no, he was definitely an odd man out. I think I mean, this season, so many times he was the voice of reason as well, especially with
Yeah.
the guys in the group. And again, I like that he was like, listen, let me just start with an apology. I should have never got involved in your marriage. And again, the next time we get an interjection is next when Jasmine interjects, which really, again, annoys me. She asks Michelle,
Bye.
do you think emotionally you cheated on Jesse? First of all, Jasmine, you're not a part of this conversation. And Jesse's like, yes, 100%. That's what he's been saying the whole time. He's like, Aaron admitted to me that you guys were talking in the park. And she's like, yeah, but we were talking about his girlfriend. And then I mentioned to him that we were, divorcing. That's not an emotional relationship. That's two people talking in the park.
I don't like her at all. I really,
Jasmine,
I really wish she wasn't on the show. And then I didn't like her to begin with. And then I found out all the other reality. She was been on like 5 other reality shows. And the other ones were all straight dating shows. Like she was on The Bachelor and these other dating shows. And
Yeah.
now she's in a relationship. I mean, she seems very happy. It seems genuine, but I don't like her. I don't think she has a storyline. Her girlfriend, I can't tell you anything. It's like a bowl of oatmeal. She just sits there.
Yeah,
She
we don't
doesn't
know
have,
much about yeah,
yeah,
we don't know much about Melissa, I agree with that.
yeah.
I'm not a fan of Jasmine's either. I think that she's very much like Jason, sticking her nose in and making comments when it's not warranted. If you notice during this reunion, the other side of the couch where Nia and Danny and Michelle are, they're not jumping in unless it pertains to them. They're not putting their nose in someone else's business. But Jason and Jasmine and Zach, actually, Zach was doing it too, but Zach was doing it to
Zach's always
protect
done that
Brittany.
though.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's who Zach is, and I expect that
Yeah.
from Zach, to be quite honest with you. But for some reason, when Jason and Jasmine do it, it aggravates me. It really
And now
aggravates me.
Jasmine's changing her tune on what Danny did. All
I
of a
know.
sudden, she's like, oh, no, that's not okay. When I've heard her say 5 times, don't worry about it, it's in the past, blah, blah, blah. And you know what? If it wasn't, you should have been talking to Danny about this all along, not wait 2 years.
Right. So then the next thing that comes up is Andy says to Zach, after last season wrapped, there were some comments made at Jax's bar that left friendships in disarray, and Janet wanting to host an exorcism for him for his demonic behavior. So, Kristen, when Janet at the white party apologized to you and said you were reluctant in her wanting to be friends with you, Kristen said to Janet, like, I was reluctant because we apologize, and then like this Janet that's sitting here now at the Valley, this is not the friend that I've known, because they were really friends prior to the Valley. They really were friends. And now the Janet that Kristen is seeing is the one that's going after people. Because listen, although Zach made that comment, Zach doesn't even know what he said. He doesn't know what he said because he was blackout drunk. Not that that's right, but when he found out what he said, he apologized.
Mhm.
He apologized. It happened prior to the season. And if you accept the apology, you accept the apology. But if you don't accept the apology, like Kristen is saying, like, okay, so I'm going to say everything's good. And then I'm going to see it, she's going to come for me again for something else. And Kristen apologized to Janet many times, many times.
She did.
Kristen said to Janet, I knew I could tell you a million funny, wonderful things about her. The minute we started filming, all of a sudden, her and Jason became like the masterminds of like what was going to happen. And I think that says a lot. I do. I think that says a lot because, like I said, she knew her before the Valley. So if anyone's going to see how a friend changes once there's a camera there, it's going to be her.
They all knew each other, right?
They did, but they weren't they really weren't all as friendly. I mean, I know Brittany was close with Janet. I mean, Zach was her friend from Kentucky, right? We know that. She was close with Janet. I agree with Zach. I don't like how, and Brittany was close with Kristen. I don't like how Brittany, I feel like she supports Janet blindly and that she doesn't give Zach and Kristen the same passes as she gives Janet.
Well, Janet may have been there for her at a time she really needed her. And when somebody does that, you don't ever forget it. You know what I mean? It's like it's possible that Brittany was going through something and Janet was the only one there for her. So something like that may have happened. And if that's the case, then it just shows that Brittany's a real true friend.
It could. I mean, it's possible. It's possible. Jesse said, Janet and I have a good relation. Oh, this was good. Jesse then jumps in and said, listen, Janet and I have a good relationship together. We crack jokes, which we saw them doing on the couch. He goes, I watched back and I watched her a million times bring things back around that don't need to be brought up. So I love that Jesse was calling out Janet for exactly what's been happening. Like I said, she's the one who's bringing up stuff and causing conflict where it doesn't need to be. And he gave the example about when Michelle and Kristen were talking at the Mexican restaurant and Janet had to jump in. And then Jason's sitting next to Janet the whole time Jesse's saying this and he's just like shaking his head. I'm like, he's right. He's absolutely right in what he's saying.
Yeah, and that was a nothing kind of a scene too. I always thought from that the first time they showed it that they made much ado about nothing.
Yeah.
And that's when I didn't think the show was going to make it this year, but then things turned.
Yeah. I just feel like she's just so manipulative, Janet. She really is. When she inserts herself into conversations that have nothing to listen, the only conversation that was really about her was the one where Zach made a comment about her, about losing her pregnancy. Again, a horrible thing to say. Horrible thing to say. But that's the only thing that really directly involved her. The conversation between Michelle and Kristen had
It's the
nothing to do with.
pregnancy.
She didn't lose a pregnancy, but when Zach was in Jax's bar, when they weren't filming, it was pregnant last. Janet was pregnant when he had made some comment to her. There was some bickering going on. I don't know what it was. We never really heard, but the comment we heard that he said was, "Oh, I hope she loses this pregnancy." And
Wow, I don't remember that.
well, we never saw it. We never saw it.
Okay.
We never saw it. Brittany told him because Brittany was there when it happened.
And who said that?
Zach.
That's
Zach said it.
messed up.
It is messed up. It is 100% messed up. It
Yeah.
is. It is messed up. So that's why Janet had so much rage for Zach. I get that.
Well deserved.
I get it. But Zach apologized for it. And she said she was moving forward. And
That's a hard one to get over.
then don't say you're moving forward.
Yeah.
Don't say you're moving forward then.
Sometimes you think you can move forward and you try and you just can't do it.
No, listen, I'm not. I think what he said is horrible.
Yeah.
I think what he said was horrible. Because even Brittany said, like, so then Janet goes on to say that Zach's big problem is that Janet's trying to get involved in his relationship with Brittany. And Brittany, I guess, after he had said that, said to Zach, what you said was wrong. I need a break. I need a break from you. Brittany said this to Zach. I need a break from you. So then Janet is on social media and it was Brittany's birthday. And she had done a social media post wishing Brittany a happy birthday. And she found out that Brittany was out with Zach. And she deleted the post and she got all upset about it. And Zach is like,
What
this
is
is
she
what
in second grade?
well, and again, like this is what's going on. Like these are the things that's going on. Zach is like, every time I was out with Brittany, you would be like, "Oh, you're with Zach," like she would have to make a comment. So then Janet says to Zach, "Well, I didn't know that you were at that place. Our last conversation was that you were taking a break for him. I didn't know that your relationship had moved forward. You had said to me that we're taking a break if I ever talk to him again." And Zach is like, what, if I ever talk to him again? Like Brittany would say that about me, her friend that she's known forever. Yes, I made a mistake, and Brittany didn't say, no, I didn't say that. And that's when he brings up this whole thing. Like there's this whole thing that goes back and forth between them. It's a different dynamic. And Jason jumps in and he's like, all I hear was this tirade. Like all of you on the other couch, all you do is keep mentioning our names, like Janet this, Janet and Jason this. He's like, you're talking about us every minute in the show. And I'm like, well, it's only in response to things that you have said that had nothing to do with you is what they're talking about.
And it's not so much
Yeah.
Jason, it's Janet, and he's just guilty by association.
Yes.
I mean,
Right.
Jason really does nothing. You can't really carry any storyline himself. But we all like him. He's a likable guy.
Right. And the whole thing about the Zach at the bar thing, Jason wasn't there. Janet wasn't there. They got that information secondhand. It's not like they were there and witnessed it. It was information that it's not like he said it to her face. It was something that he said in a tirade. Because Jason's like, yeah, what I heard is like he was on this tirade and he was removed from Jax's bar. So neither one of them were there when it happened. It was secondhand information that was
How
relayed to
bad
them.
is it when you get removed from Jax's bar?
Yeah, that's true. Although I do think Danny was removed from Jax's bar too.
That's right.
So, and Brittany said, listen, it was out of character for Zach that night. Like, that's not who he is. He apologized for it. There was nothing else he could do, right? He was on a tirade. He was drunk. He doesn't remember doing it. He apologized. He didn't say it to her face. Not that that changes it, but Janet's like, well, you apologized to me, but then behind my back, you're saying like she sucked dick, fuck this, fuck that. And I get that. I mean, that would piss me off too. Then he said something, which I don't know what this is about. So maybe we'll hear more about this. Zach said, then a year later, you called lawyers on me instead of having a conversation.
Zach said that?
Yes, to Janet. Janet said,
Call lawyers. What'd she do? Tell her husband?
I don't know, but she said, "Why would I have a conversation with you when I was 8 months pregnant?" So again,
That was
it was when
recent.
well, no, Janet was pregnant in the first season.
Okay.
This was in the first season, and, like, this happened like I said, like, the timeline on this is very confusing, and we don't know what the whole thing she called lawyers on him for. Andy says, "It's been over a year. Zach has apologized multiple times. Is there a point where we can move on and get over this?" Janet said, "Let's be clear. I want to move on from this more than anyone and get to a better place, but I need to see some things change. I need to see that they're not going to be trashing me 24/7." Janet said, "You and Zach made up in Santa Barbara, and then at the end of the party, you were screaming at him." They did make up in Santa Barbara at that party. She said, "I felt like Zach was blaming me for whatever friendship thing was going on with Brittany." And that is true. I mean, that's the problem, I think, with this whole situation is that Zach and Brittany were very close. They've known each other for a long time. Then Janet got involved. Brittany's the one who heard the comment that Zach made, and I guess she's the one who brought it back to Janet. And, Brittany, during this whole thing, she said that I wanted space, and she's nodding her head yes.
The funny thing is, if there were no cameras around, half
Right.
of the things that are said wouldn't even be said. Just move on.
Right.
Just stop grasping for storylines because that's all this is.
That's the whole thing.
I've got nothing to say this week. I got to find something that somebody said to me at a bar 9 months ago.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And that's what's exhausting about the show. Like, that's what's exhausting. These stupid fights that we never saw happen. We only are getting hearsay. The person that said it doesn't even remember saying it because he was blackout drunk and there was no cameras there to catch it. It's like, come on.
And this is why we can't have Jax resign. We need Jax to be on that show
He
and
didn't
be
resign.
I know, but you know what I'm saying. We need Jax to go on that show and be his genuine horrible self.
I don't think we need him back. I don't think that we need to keep rewarding bad behavior.
Yeah, that we got a boring show like this.
I
This show cannot carry itself on Danny arguing with Jasmine. It's not going to happen.
Well, no, I don't want to see that either. But I don't want Jax back. I don't want him back. I don't need that villain. I don't need him. I think he's more no, I don't need Jax back. I disagree with you on that. Let's see. Next we go to I'm sick of talking about the whole Janet thing. Then he goes back to Jesse. Andy goes back to Jesse. He says after uncorking sour rumors about his wife on the boys chat, Jesse invited the group to wine country. Jesse, you called your wife an escort before going to Santa Barbara. So how did you think like she was going to react to you giving her a white flag? Jesse said, I thought a lot about the trip, and what I should have done is I should have had a conversation with her before I offered the yes, Jesse,
Yeah, yeah.
you should have had a
And
conversation
you
with
don't
her.
call your wife a hooker.
Right, right. He admits to being a really shitty person, and he says, I'm a really shitty person, but I would at least hope that Michelle could say I'm a good father. Okay, but we're not talking about what
That's
kind
not
of
what we're
father you
talking
are.
about.
Right. It's
Nobody
like,
ever said you weren't a good father.
and he was insulted by that. Like, he brought that up. He's like, you could have at least said I was a really good, father to Isabella. And then Janet jumps in. Again, not Janet's thing to jump in on. Janet jumps in and says, it's really hard to have something positive to say after all the shitty things that you've said to her without apologizing. Again, we didn't need it from her. And Jesse says, I'm sorry now. And he worries about Isabella seeing this. Well, Isabella is going to see it. And she's going to know.
Everything. She's going to see
Yeah.
everything.
Yep. Then Andy asks about the money that was Zelled to Jesse, who the gay guy was that Zelled him the money. It was actually someone that they were both friends with. This guy was at their wedding in Capri when they got married. They've gone on vacations with him. It was nothing. It was just, again, them trying to make something out of
Pull
nothing.
up a storyline, but it wasn't a
Yep.
lot of money. It was over $1,000.
Yep. How do we know how much it was, though?
They said it. Andy asked, and I think it was like 1,500.
Okay.
I can't believe they got 3 parts out of this reunion.
I know. So I did like the next thing we go to. Andy says to Danny, there's a lot of talk about your drinking this year, and it's becoming a problem. What's going through your head as Jax talks about his struggles? Danny said, I'd have to rewind a bit because Jax, going into the season, said that he was coming after me. And that's when Jax said, I have to say, I am truly sorry about how I handled that. First of all, Danny and Nia, before we started the show, They were friends, would constantly call me, wish me happy birthday. Like, we were really friends. He said, they are some of the sweetest people that I know. And that was terrible. It was a terrible thing for me to say. That I will say to you, that for Jax is growth. For him to actually apologize to Danny and Nia right then and there and not give a butt or anything. Now, whether or not he follows through with the actions that go with that apology, because now you're not going to be on camera and you actually, appreciate them for who they are. He says to him, he says, "You have been the nicest guy to me since I met you. I'm truly sorry that I said anything." And you could see that when he's saying that, like, Danny is visibly upset. Like, he was friends with him. He really was friends with him. And then Kristen says, "Why did you want to go after them?" And Jack said, "I don't know why." He said, "Well, you told us why. You didn't like our edit in the season, and you felt that we got the good edit." Jack said, "Oh, I was told that they were protected on the show." And he's like, "By who? We don't know anyone at Bravo. Like, who was protecting us?"
If anybody's protected, it's Jax.
Right. Right.
He gets away with
Jack
a
said,
lot of crap.
right. And then Jax is like, "Well, this is an apology. I am apologizing. I'm sorry." And Danny's like, "I wanted to be your friend. Like, you were like a brother to me, and you took my face and you dug it in the dirt and you just kept going after me and my marriage."
Mhm.
Then he kind of changes the subject. "Danny, when you were in the pantry and took a swig, were you trying to hide it from the camera or from the group?"
Oh, enough of the pantry.
Right. He said, "Well, mainly from the camera, because he knew going into the season what Jax had said." Listen, he's being honest. You know, then Nia jumps in. She said, "There's sometimes I'm not happy when he drinks, and there's sometimes when he's hilarious." She's like, "He's funny, he's annoying, whatever." She's like, "But I love him and I know who he is. Like, I know his character." And he said, "Do you think he's always honest with you about his drinking and how much he drinks?" And Janet and Jason are sitting across and they're both like nodding, like, "No, no, he's
The
not."
dude's got 4 under 4. If he wants to take a swig, let him take a swig.
Yep. Nia said, "I always check in. And, sometimes I've said, you've had enough." She's like, "The next day we have a conversation and we get on the same page." She's
Mhm.
already said that, after the incident, they went to counseling together. They deal with their problems head on in their marriage. It's obvious that that's what happens. Jason jumps in at this point and says, "Oh, that's great. I think that you should support your husband." But the issue is that I have is, instead of taking accountability, where's the scapegoat? Who can I blame this on? Janet. Janet's the one. No, no, Janet's the one who keeps bringing it up. It's
She's
not that
not
they're
the one that
blaming
did
it.
it.
Right. They're taking accountability. They're dealing with it head on. Janet sticking her nose in it is where it becomes a problem. And he doesn't see that. Nia said, "Yeah, I can. As friends, we loved you guys so much." I think it's more of a place of is it coming from a place of concern, or is it coming from continuing perpetuating the conversation? Like, are you really worried? Or is it just that you want this out there over and over again? Because she said, "When we were at that party, I said to you, if you were dealing with someone with an alcohol issue, we would all be there to support you."
Compare
That
this
was
show.
gaslighting 101.
Compare this show to Southern Charm. They don't keep bringing shit up over and over and over again for a storyline. They just live their lives and have new storylines. To me, this means it's number one, not a genuine group of people. And number two, they're struggling.
Well,
I
I
think
agree with
they
that.
need to do some big cast changes and they need to get it to be more of um a natural show. Like the people really need to be friends.
No, I agree with that.
Okay.
That's a good comparison, like you said, Southern Charm, because we don't beat the dead horse on Southern Charm.
No, sometimes I wish they'd talk more about it.
Yeah.
Like last year, I don't think they talked enough about that Chip's girlfriend, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And then
And
I want
actually,
to
what
bring
I've seen is Southern Charm's going to be good this year.
good.
Yeah.
Good. Good. Then they bring up the whole Danny called, a snake after you called me Darko Danny. And she's like, "Well, I like Danny Darko better than Dark Side Danny." Again, I don't care about that. Like, I don't care about that. Then they talk about the boozy Halloween incident at Jax's bar. That's when the incident happened with Jasmine and Jasmine's girlfriend. And Danny said that, he apologized.
And that's
I
where
don't
Jasmine speaks up and it's like, "Well, I'm not done with this. I'm not."
Well, Jasmine speaks up and says, Danny said immediately after it, because I didn't remember it. He goes, I reached out and I apologized. And Jasmine says, no, Nia reached out to me. Nia said, no, he messaged you the same day. Jasmine said, you called me first when I was at the airport. Nia said, I called you the same exact day and he reached out immediately as well. Now, again, like we're talking stupid semantics here, but Andy said, so when he apologized at the white party, Jasmine, did you feel that that was, genuine? Jasmine said at the white party, the problem for me was when we sat down, then they show us a part that we didn't exactly see prior. To have the conversation, the first thing you said to me and Melissa is, are you doing this right now? But what we see is unseen footage where Danny says, I didn't think this was coming up tonight, which is not the same thing as what she said.
Right, and we all know that the producers go over what the script is gonna be. I mean, it's not
Right,
scripted out, but the topics are,
right, right.
and it
And
gives you time to prepare.
Jasmine said, what am I doing to you? I can bring this up. It happened to me. And Janet and Jason are sitting next to her, shaking their heads. Yes, like, co signing her. She said, Melissa never got an apology to her face. We hadn't seen each other for months. So it was like out of sight, out of mind. So seeing you again brought up some feelings like, why didn't Melissa get the same apology like Kristen or Janet would have gotten if it had happened to them? Okay, well, if that was really what the issue was, then that's what it should have been said because that's not what the issue was. That's what the issue is that you're coming up with 8 months later, right? And that's where it's annoying. So she goes on to say that she felt the apology was half-assed. I don't think the apology was not what we saw, and
We
we
never
only saw.
saw the apology, the
I mean,
original
we
apology.
didn't. I was gonna say we didn't see the original apology. We've seen many
Yeah.
apologies, but we didn't see the original. Nia said, "I think he felt caught off guard because he thought his process was we had moved on and we had been seen, and that's exactly what it was. They had moved on. They'd seen each other in a group setting. He'd already apologized. She's like, I think it went deeper than that. And then later on, we did have a deeper conversation, which we do see that one, where she said about, and I get this when she said that, because she's in a gay relationship, people don't take it as seriously. If someone did that to one of the guys' wives and pat her on the ass, it would be a different conversation.
I don't agree with her.
I can see where she would feel that way. I can see where she would feel that way.
I mean, I think she ought to look at it more at not that people don't recognize your relationship, it's just that you're just girlfriend and girlfriend. You're not engaged, you're not married.
Well, I mean, Andy, as a gay man, said that when he heard it that way, that really resonated with him, the comparison. And I think I saw it differently when she said it too.
I mean, I'm not gay, she is, so she is more in tuned into how things happen.
Right, right. Then Jasmine said, I love Danny and Nia, but he hurt me. Jasmine said, Jason, then she thanks Jason for having her back. I think you understood, what others didn't. And Jason's like holding back tears. I mean, that was the most performative thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I didn't get any of that.
He's like, I'm trying to hold my emotions because I honestly feel that like that interaction was disgusting. Andy said, what interaction? Danny said, you weren't even there. He wasn't even there at the Halloween party. Jason said, you admitted to me what happened. He wasn't even there. And he thought, I mean, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Jasmine's like, she said she's still feeling a certain way about it. Danny said, again, he wasn't there. Jason wasn't there. Nia said, he can still feel a certain way about it. Like, if that's fine. Jason said, if you were taken off guard because of how she felt, insinuating that she did it for the show. So that's what it comes down to. Danny's reaction to her was that this had happened a year prior, wasn't on the show. Now, again, we got to bring it back. So the insinuation was that she was bringing it back for the show. Yes, that is the insinuation because of what happened. Why would that not be the insinuation?
I literally think they sat down before the show started, all of them, and said, okay, this is the stuff that's happened. This is what we have to bring up. They've had this all scripted out. And it's sad because they got a boring ass group of people.
Yeah.
I'm going to be interested to see what Vanderpump Rules does with the new cast coming in.
I'm not going to watch it. Are you going to watch it? I'm not watching it.
Yeah. As long as Teresa Giudice and her kids aren't on it, I'll watch it. Why wouldn't you watch it?
I don't know.
You
I
love
was
the
kind of
original so
over.
much?
No, I mean, I did like the original, but I'm just kind of, I feel like I'm over it. I don't know.
Get into Southern hospitality. Number one, I
I
don't
wasn't
like
gonna.
Leva, but I tried watching the show based on your recommendation and I could not get into it. And I'm worried Vanderpump might be the same way.
So, well, listen, I said my plan is I'm not going to watch it. I wasn't going to watch Southern Hospitality either, but Kelly encouraged me to watch it. And when I first couple episodes, I was like, "Ugh, this is too young for me. I can't watch this. There no. But then I did get into it and I really enjoyed it. So it may be the same thing with Vanderpump. Who knows with me? I changed my
If Guillermo's in it, I'll
mind.
watch it.
Yeah, Guillermo. You know what? The other I don't like is I don't like Peter.
How can you not like Peter? He's the nicest guy on earth.
I don't like Peter. I don't know.
Aw,
I don't know.
he's such a sweetheart.
Let's see. So basically cuz I think that's it. Yeah. We don't really end it. The end of the reunion is really Jason and Danny going back and forth. Jasmine, oh wait a second. Danny said I didn't know anything was unresolved. Jason said if I did what happened to you, you can change your mind and be mad at me for the rest of your life. And if I grovel at your feet and apologize, you can never say another word. Nia said, I feel like we're not understanding each other. And Danny said, yeah, I feel like we're not either. I've apologized over and over and I continue to apologize. Jasmine, then on the after show, we see that she said, I can't believe it was brought up again. Danny said, by Janet, not by you. Me and Danny both said you can bring it up as much as you want. So Jasmine on the after show was even saying, I can't believe it was brought up again. So now at the reunion, it's a whole different thing. Jason says to Danny, you're a clown, dude. You're a clown. You're a total clown. I'm like,
How can
where is
Jason
that?
call Danny a clown?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Jasmine said, I thought you were talking about me bringing it up about on the after show. Jason said, this guy blames everybody. Janet said, well, I'm glad I talked about it a lot because this guy has been inappropriate and made women feel uncomfortable multiple times since. So Janet supposedly on the next reunion is going to bring out the names of other people that he's been inappropriate with. Because if you see on the upcoming
They
event,
bring
Andy's like,
somebody in, I think.
no, well, Andy says, let's bring her in, but I don't think anybody's there. But I think that Andy just,
He does that a lot.
yeah, I know. I don't think that, and again, if the
Hey,
person's not there, is it
Andy
real?
is looking hot lately. The way he grew his beard in,
I don't like it.
Andy,
You like it? I don't like it.
Andy, if you don't want to be the golden one anymore, let me know. Andy's never had sex with a woman.
Why now? You're volunteering?
Andy's a gold star gay, and
I know, I know.
I'll pop his cherry.
I don't think he wants to. I don't think, not because, uh, you
When my
think
husband was
really?
alive, I even would say to my husband, "Oh, I love you so much, but I love Andy too." Always, I've
Oh, that's
always loved
so,
Andy.
oh, that,
Always loved Andy, and he's looking hot now.
I
If
like
he
him
wants
clean
a
shaven
lavender
better.
marriage, here I am. I'm not married. I don't need. I'll sign a prenup. I'll walk away with nothing.
Okay.
Just
Okay,
let me
Andy.
live in your mansions, and I'll take care of your babies.
Cousin Jean is putting it out there. Cousin Jean
Putting
is
it
putting it
out
out
there,
there.
Andy.
I guess we're going to have to wait and see what happens on episode 3 and how we wrap this up with a bow. I don't want to talk about this anymore, so I'm going to end it unless you have something else you want to say.
No, I'm kind of done with this show.
Okay. All right. Bye.